Hey, I'm not going to be a real patient guy now.
You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans. Tune in every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Call in and leave a message to be played on air at 408-909-PJFF. This episode brought to you by Creative Media Design Studio. Check them out at CreativeMediaMonterey.com. It's time to pillage another podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler. Cracking, Che.
Oh, man. It's been quite the week. But
It's been a hell of a week.
it's been a hell of a week, right? But the weekend's right around the corner, man.
That's right.
So things are, looking a little up.
You got big plans this weekend?
Not a damn thing. That's
Nice.
The excitement of my weekend is pretty much housework, and then Sunday I get a little hour of basketball in.
There you go.
That's it, man. That's it.
Round ball.
That's the round ball.
The round ball.
That's it. So hopefully we get another W because we got one last week.
Yeah.
We got one on Sunday. We got our first win. So we're turning this around here pretty soon.
As you can see right behind you, our mobile performance rig
I see that.
is all built and ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
So we're supposed to have a tune-up gig this weekend, but I cracked my MacBook, so that may or may not happen. But yeah, that's my plans this weekend. And then Silver and Black 666 from the blogs, kind enough to purchase us a video lighting rig.
Yeah.
And that's going to be for the podcast. We're going to be going to YouTube here probably in about a month or so.
That's huge, man.
So I'm going to cruise over to his house with my lady and have dinner with him and his lady and pick that bitch up. Talking,
Pick my bitch up.
I'm talking about the lighting rig. All respect. So we're going to do that. So thank you, Silver and Black 666. And a special shout out to you at the front of the show here. A lot of folks don't know, but 666 is essentially an executive producer of this show and the blog. He does a lot behind the scenes to make this happen, financially, theoretically. I mean, bringing ideas and helping steer the vision of the site and the show. And had the pleasure of sitting down with him last weekend and watching those playoff games. And he stuffed me full of food. I'm still full. And it's Thursday.
Man, he just brings the gifts, man. Just keeps on giving.
He's a cool guy. He's a really cool guy. And he brings the spice on the blog.
There you go.
When there's shit stirring on the blog, he's holding a spoon. and we like that.
Sitting over the pot.
Yeah.
Just keep it going. Keep it moving.
And we like that. We like that on the blog. It's all about debates, conversation. It's Raider talk over there almost 24/7. It gets a little weird at night. But that's okay. We like that too.
Hey, sometimes it get a little weird in the morning too, man. I've been
It
been
does.
around in the morning. I'm like, hey, it's getting a little weird in here.
But if you're a listener and you've never been to our site and you'd like to talk Raider football and you're looking for a place on the internet that's active besides Twitter, something a little bit more direct, check us out, pj4f.com. Go to the latest post and scroll all the way down to the comment section. You will need a Discuss profile, which is really easy to set up. And join us, man. We've had a couple new posters. We've had Count Basie kind of pop in and out. We have Captain Sparrow on there now.
There you go.
So shout out to you. He came on from Twitter. Basie came on from Reddit. And I know my boy Viral Wonder is going to be jumping on there one of these days very soon. And a couple of the new guys, a couple guys that have been lurking for quite a while. And so it's good. We got Justin Robbins. He's been lurking on the site for about 4 years. That predates my site and goes back to where the community originally started. So people are starting to put their pants on and show up.
There you go.
And we like
I'm
that.
still lurking.
Yeah, what's up, dude? People are starting to question your integrity, Che.
Hey, man. I'm giving my soul right here, okay? I'm putting it all out there for
He's
you.
like, oh, you can talk to Kenny, but you can't talk to us. Look, Che's a very busy man.
I am.
Okay. He's working on building a new stadium
There you go.
right here in the South Bay. When he says housework, that's just code for he's building a stadium all by himself.
Literally brick by brick, man.
That's it, bro. I think you're going to need to make that thing a little bit bigger. That's what she said. So, man, big show tonight. We got Lincoln Kennedy joining us.
Huge.
Kane will be, he is huge. He's a big guy.
Huge show.
Huge show.
Huge show.
Got a really big show for you tonight. Really big show. He is 6'6", 335 pounds. We don't know what he weighs in.
We
at
miss
currently.
you, Lincoln. We miss you.
Yeah. And him and Jerry Rice, I heard, will be re-signing with the team this year as we get ready for another Super Bowl run under John Gruden.
There you go.
Throwback Thursday. So yeah, that's coming up. Kane's going to be joining us twice this evening. He co-produced this show. He landed Lincoln Kennedy for us one more again, as they say down there in the ATL.
There you go.
And so he'll be joining us with the Kennedy segment, and then we're bringing him back for Kane's Corner because we got a lively discussion lined up for the second half of the show. So let's get through some of these quick hits so we can talk to Mr. Kennedy himself.
Let's do it.
So Derek Carr now moves into the Pro Bowl with Brady moving on to the Super Bowl.
I saw that, yeah.
Two things I want to say halfway. I fully disagree with one of them, and that obviously the Brady situation. Did you watch that game? Did you watch the Patriots-Jags game?
You know, so I watched a portion of it before my game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was the first game, right?
Yeah.
The first game was Patriots and Jacksonville.
The 12 o'clock game.
So I didn't get to see the comeback, but I kind of felt it was going to happen anyways.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about the whole hand thing and all that nonsense. I'm like, come on, man. They're building this up so the dude looks like Jesus if he comes back and he wins, right? If he wins this game. And if he loses, then he has an excuse, all right? That's my feelings towards that whole thing. So your hand hurts? Too bad, man. Too bad.
Yeah.
You know?
He was on the cover of Madden this year, as many of you know, is a big reason why a lot of Raider fans did not buy Madden this year. It is. I've been told that. And he defeated the Madden curse. I mean, he got his little injury or whatever you want to call it.
Season's not over yet.
Season's not over, bro. Yeah, you said it. You said it. You know me, I don't like to ever say that refs win or lose games, but I thought that, again, was another poorly officiated game. Jacksonville could have been up 27-10.
Yeah.
If that fumble goes for 6, which it should have. You got to let that play out and then look at the tape afterwards, and you can always bring the ball back. Instead, they blow the ball dead, and the rest is history. But it's also on you, Jacksonville. You ran the clock out with 55 seconds left in the first half.
Yeah.
You saw in the afternoon game, Philadelphia did not, and they were able to drive downfield for a field goal, which ultimately made no difference in that game, but was just sort of an example of how you got to stay aggressive in the playoffs.
You don't take your foot off the gas, man.
You can't.
If you're beating the team down, listen, man. You only get one shot. You get one chance to make it to the Super Bowl. You got to win that game.
You get one shot.
If you lose,
there
you go. There you go. It's the Eminem references. You got one shot, man. And you think that this is the time to take the foot off the gas? Like,
yeah.
You stupid. I'm sorry. You're stupid.
Yeah, it's not a regular season game. This is the AFC Championship game. By all means, it's a
big effing deal.
That's right, Mark Davis. It's a big effing deal. So you got to play it like it is. And ultimately, that's on you, Jacksonville. You didn't close out. Bortles' service was not in the clutch. You saw Patricia take away those passes to the flat in the second half. Jags offense had nothing after that, and they really just seemed like they choked up and decided to run the ball out at the top of the third quarter, and you can't do that either. You guys step on people. So you had a shot, Jacksonville. You had a shot. But you know what? That leaves Patriots in the game for us to take them out.
There you go.
So,
well, the other thing too, man, the Jags, they got a bright future, man. So
yeah,
I'm sure they'll be back. I'm sure they'll be back, and hopefully we'll be there to meet them and get them to lose again.
Hey, leave the door open, Jax. Go ahead. But Derek Carr in the Pro Bowl, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, quite obvious he doesn't deserve to be in the Pro Bowl, but he's,
I mean, previous years that he's made the Pro Bowl, we were pretty, happy with it, right? We felt his performance definitely showed that he deserved to be in the Pro Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we have a harder time accepting that this year just because of the outcome of our season. So, hey, man. If you can get voted in by the coaches or the other team or the other members that are actually taking part in the Pro Bowl, then you're doing something right. So
that's the silver and black lining to all of this, And then he's out there on a recruitment mission. I know a lot of Raider Nation's high on Jarvis Landry. I am too. Mental issues and all that involved. With a few dollars more, we get him instead of Crabtree, and I like that. He's got game-breaking capability. He's got some of the surest hands in the NFL. We do need that. And, Carr's just out there having a good time with anybody. So you maybe don't read too much into these Instagram posts and whatnot. But, hey, he's out there bridging the gap, so to speak, being the ambassador for Raider Nation. And we like that. So does he deserve to be there this year? No. But we'll take it as a sign of respect and a sign of his popularity around the league. And, it is what it is.
Yeah.
More on Derek Carr. Vic Tafur actually got to interview Derek Carr last week on theathletic.com. So those of you that don't have a subscription to The Athletic, I encourage you to go out there and do it, or even check out the free trial. It's a cool website, ad-free. Ads are a real pain in the butt these days. Any kind of news you read, it's ridiculous, especially if you're on mobile. If you got an ad blocker on desktop, you're pretty much gravy. But that's a good site. They got a nice stable of writers over there. Some of the takeaways from that interview, as we all know, we've seen it a million times. Derek Carr was on John Gruden's quarterback camp coming out of college. If I see that posted one more time. But what we didn't know is after all of that went down, after the filming and everything ended, Carr stayed back with Gruden for 10 hours.
Wow.
And he sat down with John and they talked family and football and other things. And they swapped phone numbers. And they've been in constant contact ever since. So John's been high on this guy. He's told you that. And now you know that for sure.
Yeah.
Those guys definitely clicked. And I'm sure he's been eyeballing the situation for a while, as it seems.
Yeah.
And I feel like when we dropped that game in KC, he was like, it's time to go. Pack my bags, baby.
I'm coming back.
Yep. I tell you what, man, they're going to fire his ass.
You're right, Gruden. You were right, man.
More from that. Carr did admit to returning too early from injury. And there's more to that story, too. We're going to get to that. But it sounds like he was, pressured a little bit by the coaches, pressured a lot by himself. He's a competitive dude. He admits to that in the thing. But he did say if the coaching staff had told me to take it easy, we're not going to rush you back, he probably would have had another week off. It sounded like from the interview he didn't take any days off throwing. And he got right back in there. Was the back pain excruciating? He says no. Was it there? He said yes. It's just one of those things that gets into a quarterback's head. Most of their game is mental. Right. Especially when you're a guy like Derek Carr is a very mental quarterback, cognitive quarterback, cerebral dude. And, weighs in on you. So, I think if you read between the lines there, when he said, if the coaching staff had told me to take it easy, I think the converse of that, as a lit major, I'm told to read what's not on the page.
There you go.
And, what he's telling you is they weren't telling him to take it easy. They were telling him you need to hurry up.
Right.
Because they panicked.
Right.
More on that later.
Yeah.
Put a pin in that.
Put a pin in.
He alluded to problems in the locker room in that interview. He didn't go into detail, which he shouldn't as a leader of the team, but he basically confirmed there were some issues.
Right.
Put a pin in that too.
Put a pin in. See.
That was a pin right there. That's a big pin. Stephen Michaels published a controversial expose Tuesday on the RaidersDaily.com. This is where the pin comes in.
Take the pin out.
Take the pin out. And actually maybe leave it in there because we are going to touch on this more in the second half of the show. So brace yourselves. Maybe put your phone in the pocket because we ruined a lot of phones.
I hope you went out and purchased that little clip that I told you, man. The baby clip. Attach that to your phone. So if you get a little hot, a little heated when you're listening to this, it don't go too far, man. All right? I don't want you to break your phone.
The Pillaging podcast, breaking phones since been breaking phones.
Since phones could be broken.
So, I've had some off-air conversations with folks, inside, outside the media, reading the Carr interview, and then finally reading the Stephen Michaels piece. And I just feel like a lot of it makes sense. Was the language in the article 100%? No. A lot of people are calling out Michaels for his grammar, for his misspellings in there. I don't know what to tell you about that. Looking at it, it seems like it was maybe written by phone. I've had the chance to talk to Stephen. Guy stands by his story. He's a stand-up dude. I've heard from other people that Michaels is a solid guy. He's out there on an island. He's got his own site. He's doing what I'm trying to do. What we're trying to do over here just with the Pillaging brand in general, all of us. And I'm going to roll with it, man. What was your gut reaction? Without getting too far into it, we want to save some of it. But what was your gut reaction reading this piece?
My gut reaction was there's got to be some truth to it. How much of it? Obviously, I don't know. I'm not gonna jump overboard, right? I'm not gonna get out of control, like, oh God, right? But just take it for what it is, man. Take it in, and just be realistic about the possibilities that there was more things going on than we knew, and that has to be the case because we're not in the locker room, right? If we were in the locker room, then we could be like, nah, that's BS.
Yeah.
But we're not. So we there's got to be a lot of things going on that we didn't really know as fans.
Here's one thing I know: when the O-line conspiracy was flying around out there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dennis Allen. He used to say that all the time. Flying around out there. My pillagers will get the joke. The players came out and they dismissed the story like immediately.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody come out and dismiss this story.
Mm-hmm.
Not one single person.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, don't at me. I don't want to be wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, if I'm wrong, point it out. Let me know. But I haven't seen anybody come out and say this story is false. This story is baloney. Right. And we got a couple guys on the bubble, on the fringe, possibly cut. Bruce Irvin is one of those dudes. Obviously an emotional guy. That's talked about in the article. He dipped when K&J got fired. He took it to Twitter. He called him out.
He did.
He called out the situation. I should say he didn't call out Ken Norton Jr. I don't want it. That sounded wrong. But he called out the situation for what it was, and he's quiet. But we'll see, man. If Bruce Irvin is on the fringe, he ends up getting cut to free up money. Nothing personal. I'd like to actually see him get retained, but that's a different conversation. But if he does, I mean, we may hear something from Irvin.
Right.
We don't know.
Right. It's true.
So another guy that's been outspoken is Donald Penn. He's mum on the situation. So that just kind of makes me feel like there's some truth there. And I went into this article really guarded, really kind of like, okay, let's see what this guy's going to say.
Yeah.
Because I've heard all the conspiracy theories so far. And I had some interchanges on a few different sites that posted this, people that posted links to this, even on our own site. There's people that buy in, there's people that are not buying in. But the people that don't buy in, what explanation do you want?
Right. There's been so many other explanations, right? All these conspiracy theories and it was all, we heard it all. So this guy's coming out with another explanation, and all of a sudden he's completely out of his mind. I mean, let's be realistic here.
Yeah.
If you can buy a little bit of what the other stuff that was going around earlier on in the season, then you got to buy into a little bit of this too, if not all of it.
Exactly. Just if anything, take what you want from the article and just add it to your mental Rolodex of things that you're using and try to figure out 2017.
Right.
There's something in there that's got to be true. I personally buy into a lot of it. I personally know a lot of it's true. I'm not going to speak to that. It's not my position, but I give Michaels kudos for writing this article. It was brave journalism. Whether true or not, I mean, you're putting it out there. You're a credentialed journalist. You're going to write about that. You're putting a lot up there for risk. And last year, 2016, JDR had his balls in a wheelbarrow.
Right.
And right now, Stephen Michaels got his balls in a wheelbarrow too.
Him out there, man.
So big nuts, big nuts. On Stephen Michaels, man, you get my respect. And if this comes out to be false, still, man, it's brave to even put it out there. If it was a shot in the dark, still brave.
Yep.
So, take
them big metal, that big metal sack hanging off the back of his truck.
I hope not. That is the douchiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I can't stand it. Being from where I'm from, I see that a lot.
You do see that a lot.
Come on, man.
I hate the flesh-colored ones. Those creep me out, bro. Dude. Anyway, I don't know how we got on that, but yeah.
Nuts in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, there we go. Maybe that's the name of my new podcast.
There you go.
Nuts in a wheelbarrow. I want to be calling people out on that podcast. But anyways, yeah, take what you want from it. If you haven't already turned off the show, I allow everybody to have their opinion. One thing about me is I'm an even-keeled guy. If you don't buy into it, cool, man. I'm not going to sit here and waste my breath and argue with you. It is all rumor and conjecture at this point until a player comes out and says yes. But in my opinion, if nobody's come out and said no, generally a player's going to come out and try to protect his locker room, and nobody's done that yet.
Right.
Who knows? They're all on vacation. Maybe these guys hadn't even read the article. The Raiders Daily isn't the Bleacher Report. You know what I mean? It's not Mercury News. It's not one of these big flagship sites. But it was on my radar. It was all over Twitter. It was pretty hot. I don't know how you can't miss it, but there it is. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be nothing to talk about this week.
We're going into a real quiet week. Huh? What are we going to talk about on the podcast? Wrong.
Wrong. Yeah, just when you thought it was over. It ain't over, motherfucker. Ice Cube already told you. All right, so we're going to take a little pause here, and I'm going to get Lincoln Kennedy and Raider Kane on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
One of them is a Raider legend, and the other one is a former player.
There you go. See what you did there.
Just kidding. Respect to both of you. You know what I'm doing. So yeah, let's vibe out, listen to the tunes, and we'll catch you in a minute. All right, joining us on the Pillaging podcast again for the second time, we want to welcome Lincoln Kennedy. Thanks for coming on the show, Lincoln.
It's my pleasure. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'm here with my co-host Che, and then Raider Kane. He sent his questions in, so we're gonna get started right away with Kane's questions. He's got some good ones for you, and really interested to hear what you say about it. First off, he wants to know your opinion. Will John tear down this roster? Or do you think he's going to retain players, specifically players that are rumored to be cut? Marshawn Lynch, Crabtree, Smith, Bruce Irvin. These are guys that we can cut, clear cap space. Or do you think, knowing Gruden, coveting his veteran players, do you think he'll seek to keep these guys on the team?
Well, once upon a time, John Gruden coveted, veteran players as long as they were productive and useful. The fact is that right now you come into a sort of a youth movement overall by the Oakland Raiders. If you look at the foundation that's in place, you've got people like Khalil Mack, Amari Cooper, Derek Carr, just to name a few. And you've got other people, other pieces involved that are establishing a sort of a youth movement for the future. It's a solid foundation. So whether or not you keep those savvy veterans, as you mentioned, the Marshawn Lynch's, the Bruce Irvins, and Michael Crabtrees, is anyone's guess. I can only imagine that a new coach coming into this situation wants to try to make the best for his upcoming window. And what I mean by that upcoming window is take a look at the next 3 to 4 years. How much production, how much productivity you can get out of those windows with those guys that I just mentioned, those afford veterans versus someone new. The thing is, you want to pull your newcomers up with guys who can get the job done, that have the right attitude. And I'm not saying that Marshawn Lynch, Michael Crabtree, those guys don't have the right attitude. I'm just saying that for some people, that window might have passed. So you want to look into possibly building the future with that foundation that won't cost you as much, because as you got to remember, this is a business. This is a business that doesn't come cheap. So guys like Bruce Irvin, Michael Crabtree, so on, Marshawn Lynch, they don't come cheap. They hinder you from building your future if you're not careful in managing that.
Right.
And for me, that's exciting because I would love to see this team get younger, get stronger, and last longer. Kind of segues into the next question really well. Knowing that drops were a big problem on this team this year, and Crabtree, even if he were to be brought back, he's not getting any younger, and we need to start looking for his replacement now if he were to return, and especially now if he doesn't return. There's a wide receiver coming out of your alma mater, Washington, by the name of Dante Pettis. Have you looked at this guy? You got an eyeball on him. What do you think about the wide receiver Dante Pettis and his chances of maybe landing in Oakland this offseason?
What the thing is that I have looked at Dante Pettis. I've looked at Dante Pettis extensively, but here's what I would say. This is that first of all, let's take a look back on last season. You can't blame all the drops on Michael Crabtree. Amari Cooper had his fair share of drops, and Amari Cooper, for the most part, is the future of receiving at the Raiders organization. So he's going to be a main fixture. This team doesn't need to go and draft another receiver. You got Cordero Patterson, you got Seth Roberts, you got a number of guys that you can rely on. More importantly, there's going to be some sort of savvy, free agent receiver roaming out there that you might be able to get who's a lot cheaper than Michael Crabtree. So as much as I love my alma mater and respect my alma mater, Dante Pettis isn't the way to go in the draft. What you need to go with the first pick or first couple picks, in my opinion, is to get yourself a linebacker, get yourself a defensive back, get yourself somebody who can help out this defense, because that's where the biggest holes in this foundation seem to lay. With that being said, we know what's apparent and what's needed. You need to get yourself a veteran receiver. There's going to be somebody out there. There's going to be somebody out there who can add to your receiving core. More importantly, whether or not you need to find some wealth with the offensive line. Reggie McKenzie has done a great job over the last couple of years drafting for the future, building a foundation. Gabe Jackson, guys that he's found. I think David Sharp can be a good offensive tackle. He just needs a little bit more work. I think Tom Cable will be good for him. Under John Gruden's system, he can probably thrive, but it's going to take a little bit of time. For the most part, this offense is set. They got to find the right tackle. Don't get me wrong, but they also got to pay attention to the defensive side. They got to pay attention to defensive tackle, maybe linebacker, also defensive secondary. There's a lot of holes they've got to fill. The receiver is really on the lowest part of the totem pole, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree with you there. There's some issues, but possibly with a new coaching staff and a more focused all-around coaching staff, we can see those drops start to come back down to earth and have some faith in that. Seth Roberts, for me, still a big question mark, but he's your third wide receiver, and like you said, you got Patterson on there. Maybe new wide receivers coach. Maybe Gruden could work with him on routes and actually turn him into an every down wide receiver. Definitely has a physical skill set that's exciting. A guy that's on this roster that disappeared last year, who, in my opinion, fits in really well with the Gruden system, is Jamize Olawale. I wrote a piece on him for the RaiderRamble.com, and I feel like he's poised to have a great season. As you know, during your time with the Oakland Raiders, we had a guy named Zach Crockett. We had a guy named John Ritchie, both fullbacks that flourished under Gruden. Now, the fullback has kind of gone the way of the dodo bird in the NFL, but I also feel like me personally still have a position in this league, especially a guy like Olawale, who's multifaceted. He's fast, he can catch, he can run block, he can run with the rock. Do you see Olawale having success this year under John Gruden?
To be honest, Jamize Olawale is sort of a tweener back. What I mean, he's between a Zach Crockett and a John Ritchie. So in order to really see what he is capable of, you're going to have to put him to the test. Whether or not he's a blocking fullback that John Gruden loved and appreciated in his offense, with him running fullbacks to the flare and wheel routes and stuff like that, has yet to be seen. I don't think Jamize Olawale has really got a fair shake. So it's anyone's guess whether or not he can be or can't be. The fact is that this team right now needs a strong between the tackle run game, and I honestly don't know if Marshawn Lynch is going to be there, because Marshawn Lynch is too much of a risk card, too much of a questionable whether or not he's going to be there around there, or somebody you really want to deal with. So it's going to be up to the staff of John Gruden, Reggie McKenzie, and whether or not they really want to put the risk in somebody who's as expensive as Marshawn Lynch for the future. That's what I'm talking about, that immediate window. The thing that you got to remember about professional football, guys, is that we are talking about a 4-year window where you've got to maximize the best that you can. You got to hope to get as many championships as you can, because the fact is that there are going to be teams that are going to come in and nitpick those star performers that you have over that 3-4 year period, and you won't be able to keep that team intact.
It's true.
All that being said, when you have a quarterback, you have a chance. Derek Carr, to me, is still a franchise quarterback. John Gruden's going to try to bring the best out of Derek Carr, but he's got to have the small pieces in order for them to excel. Schedule, personnel, all these things are going to have to come into play. I think the Raiders are poised to be there. It's just going to be whether or not they can maintain it for as long as they need to, just win as many championships, if possible, as they can.
Great answer. Just to backtrack a little bit, going back to the draft, you addressed that, there's still holes on this roster, primarily defensive side. The first round of this draft, in my opinion, has a lot of talent in it, all the way up and down. Unfortunately, because of our play this season, but fortunately for us in the draft, we moved up into the top 10. We're going to be picking 9th or 10th, depending on the coin flip. What kind of move would you like to see the Raiders go in the first round of this draft? Is there a guy that's on your board in that top 10 that you would like to see us land in that position?
I want those boys to go out and get Raekwon Smith, the linebacker from Georgia.
There you go.
Go get that linebacker, that guy who's all around. You need a slobber knocker in the middle to complement Navarro Bowman. That's exactly what this defense needs.
And the time is now, right? I mean, you got a guy like Bowman in there that can definitely mentor this rookie as Bowman starts to age out. He's not super old. He's got years left on him. He seems like he wants to be a Raider. But when you got a guy in that position that can be a teacher, that can be a leader, it's a perfect time to bring in somebody underneath his wing.
There's no doubt about it. And the thing that you have to look for linebackers these days is not so much a run stopper, somebody who's capable of jumping on a back or a scat back who can cover out of the backfield, because that's what offenses are evolving to. And that's why Raekwon Smith, in my opinion, the linebacker out of Georgia, fits the mold exactly what this team needs.
The other thing that I like about him is, like you just said, his speed, his ability to cover. Knowing that we got two young safeties now starting behind him. We got Carl Joseph, who may or may not slide over to free safety, but he's back there. We got Obi Melifonwu, who's bound to see the field this year, we hope. We don't know what Obi's coverage ability is going to be in the NFL. We already know Carl Joseph. He's a run stopper. He's a hitter. He's a missile. But he struggled with tight ends at time this year, a lot of times because of his size and maybe his awareness isn't quite there yet. You got a guy like Smith that can cover, can alleviate some of the pressure on those safeties behind him and not putting it all on them at the last level of the defense. I really think that Smith benefits this defense not only in that, but in the fact that he alleviates some of that pressure off of the younger guys behind him as well.
The fact is that Carl Joseph has to move over to strong safety. I appreciate his tenacity, his hitting ability, and everything they can do. But Obi Melifonwu has to move over to strong safety, because in this division alone, we've got taller tight ends. You've got Travis Kelce out of Kansas City. You've got, Antonio Gates, who's on his last bit, but they still got taller tight ends in San Diego. As much as I love Carl Joseph, his inability to cover the taller tight end is what set him back from being a true part of this defense. Reggie Nelson is on his way out. Move Carl Joseph over to over to free safety. Put Ben in the middle and have him a chance to cover those big tight ends. That's what's going to have to happen. That's what the evolution of this defense. That's what's going to have to happen.
You got me fired up, Lincoln.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just keeping it real, man. You know how I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand this over to Che. He's got some questions for you, and I'll take over in a little bit, but he's going to fire some at you right now.
Hey, Lincoln, how you
doing?
doing?
Good. Sounds good. What's up, brother?
Hey, man, it's great to have you on. I wasn't a part of the interview last season, so I'm excited to be here, man. I'm excited to be able to speak with you. Big fan. First question I have is what do you see Gruden and his new staff's immediate impact being on this team?
What Gruden's going to do immediately with this team is calm down Derek Carr, simplify the reads and the vocal in the offensive output of Derek Carr. He's going to equate a system that's going to give Derek Carr an option every single time he touches the ball. The reason why that's important is that you build confidence. You don't have a quarterback thinking so much. You can teach him how to go through his progression and have a place to go with the football. That's important, especially for a young quarterback. Well, we saw this part out of Derek Carr this past year in 2017 is we saw Derek Carr regress. The reason why he regressed is because he started thinking too much, either with the check with me system or how to decipher a defense or whatever it was. He started thinking too much. I don't want my quarterback to think too much. I want my quarterback to know before he touches the ball where he can go with the football. That's what John Gruden's offense is going to bring to it.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. That being said, saying, that John's impact, I definitely agree with you that Carr is going to benefit the most from Gruden just because of his success with Gannon in the past, as you were witness to. What should Raider fans expect next season? Is this team a below 500 team? Is this an 8-8 team? Is this a playoff bound team?
I think this team is a playoff bound team, and I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. I think that there's going to be significant changes in the Kansas City Chiefs. The Denver Broncos still haven't found a quarterback, and even if they do find a quarterback, with that defense, there's going to be changes in their defense. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be a little bit longer in the tooth. They're not going to be as shut down as they were before. Now, the sort of indecisive, intangible that you will have are the LA Chargers. The reason why is because Phillip Rivers. When you have a quarterback, you have a chance.
Right.
Phillip Rivers is a year older. He's going to be. This offense is going to be a year and different. But because they have Melvin Gordon, they have a young offensive line, they have an offensive coach. I mean, they have a coach who knows how to best utilize them. This can be a viable player in the AFC West, if you feel what I'm saying.
Right.
But I do think the Raiders are a playoff-bound team. They can get in as a wild card. We saw 3 teams out of the NFC South go to the playoffs. That can same way happen in AFC West. And to be honest with you guys, last season, 2017, I expected 3 teams out of the division to go to playoffs. It just didn't happen, but I expected it. But at the same point, this division cannibalized itself.
Yeah.
If you look at the future schedule, you look at the aging teams that are around them, I think the Oakland Raiders, the LA Chargers, the Kansas City Chiefs, and even the Denver Broncos have a way of being viable in the division play and maybe chasing for a playoff spot. If the Denver Broncos answer the call at quarterback, they'll be a player because they have a defense and they have other pieces. They still need to work on their offensive line. It is what it is. The Chargers are the Chargers. Same with the Chiefs, even Patrick Mahomes. But I don't expect big things out of the Chiefs because even if they have a new quarterback who lights up the storm, Andy Reid will find a way to blow it.
I like that.
Once a Raider, always a Raider.
I like that too.
I keep it real. That's the only way I know how to do it, baby.
There you
That's the only way I know how to do it.
There you go. So the other thing I wanted to touch on is, which you already touched on a little bit earlier, was the tackle situation. Obviously, last time that you came onto the show, you addressed the fact that there's still a need at the tackle situation. Now we might actually have another need at the left tackle with Penn having the injuries. Obviously, he's getting a little bit older. My question is, do you think that the replacement is there? Do we have the possible replacement for Penn in Sharp? And is there anything that you've seen from Sharp that would make you feel that way, if so?
I'm a little reluctant to say that you have the answer in David Sharp, mainly because he needs reps.
Right.
The position that is the left tackle is extremely important because you're protecting the backside of the quarterback. But I think it's serviceable with the right technique and the right offensive philosophy. Now, knowing John Gruden the way I do know him and knowing Tom Cable the way I do know him, they can protect left tackle. Mm-hmm. You can find a way to protect your left tackle, especially if he's exposed. Now, I do think that David Sharp is capable of holding up his own 50, 60% of the time. Other than that, you're going to have to help him.
Right.
Where you do need help is the right tackle position.
Right.
And so this is what I'm more reluctant to say. I don't know if you have an answer right now in the Oakland Raiders at the right tackle position. Marshall Newhouse disappointed me. Mm-hmm. Vidal Alexander played okay at times. I don't know if he's a permanent mainstay in this offense. It is yet to be seen. So, I say all of that to say this. Donald Penn is very important right now to the overall scheme of the offensive line balance for this team. You need him to play one more year.
Right.
Just one more year. And then you could fixate whether or not Vidal Alexander or anybody else is ready to step in. I just need one more year out of Donald Penn for him to get healthy and to play one more year. And then even if they take Donald Sharp or Vidal Alexander and push him over the right side and just get them reps, I got to see what they're capable of, their tenacity, their ability, their technique before I move them over to right tackle. But I only need one more year out of Donald Penn.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that too. You went into my next question was about the right tackle position. Obviously, you answered a portion of that, saying that Marshall, you don't really feel comfortable with Marshall or Alexander at that position. Is there anybody in the draft, or is there a free agent out there that you feel can fill in that void at right tackle?
No. The Raiders would be wise not to draft. You don't need an offensive lineman in the draft per se.
Right.
What you need to do is you need to fixate your thoughts and everything you do on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They need to spend the first 3 picks on defense. If you go anywhere on offense, you go the 4th round or higher. The main reason is because you have a David Sharp and a Vidal Alexander, and you have to see what they're about.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's the logic. The last thing you do is if you go with a higher pick, 1 through 3, then you're forced to play that player at that position or that time. That's the last thing the Raiders need right now.
Right.
You don't need that competition right now because you have Donald Penn, you have David Sharp, you have Vidal Alexander. You have to see what you're capable of with those draft choices, rather than have somebody where those guys are going to look over their shoulders, wondering if they're going to lose their position and maybe become shell shocked and not play as well as they want to.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the last thing I wanted to say is I personally think that we might have the answer to the right tackle position on the air with us right now. You think you got another season left in you for a Super Bowl run, Kenny?
You know what? Here's what I'll tell the Raider Nation. I told Reggie McKenzie this every time we stepped on Kansas City Chiefs field. I said, look, if you need me for one series, I can give you 1 series and a half. As a matter of fact, I'll stretch it out to 1 series and a half. I'm not going to be as forward as Jerry Rice and say that I'll give you 80 catches. I'm going to keep it real. I'm a grown-ass man, and I go out there and play hard and work hard and do everything hard. So the last thing I'm going to do is give you more than 1 series and some change. So, but if it comes up against the Chiefs, believe me, I would definitely go out there and smash their asses as hard as I could.
There you go. Yeah. I love it.
You heard it here first, Raider Nation. We get into a red zone situation, 4th quarter. Watch for the big man coming off the sidelines.
There you go.
Yes, sir. You know it. And I'm the real 72. I ain't playing though.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, Penn, look out. You've been put on notice. Best to have a backup or some Velcro numbers on that jersey. So in your opinion, you've talked a lot about Carr and what John can do with them. Does he possess the mental toughness and the mental acumen to succeed under a Gruden offense?
It is yet to be seen. Here's the reason why, guys, is you rarely have a coach who's been in hiatus for a decade come out and make an immediate impact in the game today.
Mm.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just keeping it real. As much as I respect John Gruden and what he did for my career, because his offensive philosophy elevated my career to Pro Bowl, All-Pro status. I love the guy. Don't get me wrong, but he's been in hibernation for a decade, and I firmly believe the attitude, the game, everything about the game of football has changed today to where he needs to come back and reacclaim himself on this level. And you've got a new quarterback who wants to be the man. So Derek Carr is going to listen to every word that comes out of John Gruden's mouth. But it's going to be up to him to implement him and make him that much better. And it's also going to be up to John Gruden's staff to take a collective effort to make this team better. It's yet to be seen whether or not it's capable, because in all honesty, it really hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Even if you go back to Dick Vermeil, when he came off of his hiatus CBI, it still did not happen overall. They had to get a backup quarterback in there in order to make it happen.
That's
you see what I'm saying with the Rams?
Yeah.
So let's be real about the practicalness of whether or not this can happen or if it's even possible. Let's be real.
Yeah, I've been telling Raider Nation to temper their enthusiasm. I know it's exciting, and when I told them that, I know a bunch of people chucked their phones out the window listening to this podcast. But I'm with you. I think that there's reason to be excited, but there's also reason to be cautious. But the one thing that I do feel is different about John's situation is he's had a bird's eye view and a backstage pass to every single facility in this league for the last 10 years. I feel like that's got to be some kind of advantage. What we don't know is he still the same John Gruden? Can he keep up with the grueling season and manage a locker room and relate to these players? Which I think the relation thing's a non-factor because he still talks to a lot of players and a lot of players actually coming to him. So I think that kind of answers that question. But there's pluses and minuses to this whole situation. That said, you were at the Gruden press conference. What was your feeling there? Were you excited to see this? Was it a trip for you? The whole thing was just really surreal for me.
Well, it was for me. The thing was I was really excited to see John Gruden back in a position where he has a chance to prove himself again. Because as John Gruden said, he didn't want to be traded. He didn't want to leave the Raiders. It just so happened that he did. But Mark Davis, the current owner of the Raiders, believed that his father did something that really hurt the Raider Nation in many ways by trading John Gruden. That's why in the moment Mark Davis took over, he wanted John Gruden back. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So now when you look at this team, you look at this organization, you look at its ability, I'm telling everybody in the Raider Nation, I want you to be excited. Because you have that old scowl on the back of on the sidelines again. You have that Chucky vision back on the sidelines again. It's going to be good for the city of Oakland. Now let's just hope that translates into wins. Yeah. And to be realistic and practical, I don't know. We have to wait and see because I don't know if it will. Yeah. I'm hoping that it does because I report on what we see. So I'm an analyst on the sideline. I hope it translates into wins.
Yeah.
But you've got a schedule where you've got to go through the AFC North. You've got a schedule where you've got to go over to London. You've got a schedule where you got to take on this division. You've got a schedule where you got to take on the NFC West that's coming in 2018. Look, we all want to be practical and realistic when it comes to Raiders, but we also want them to be successful. We want a championship caliber team. And I want to see somebody in the AFC please beat the hell out of New England Patriots because I'm so sick to tearing about them.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, a season like the one that we had, it felt like an 80-game season. It just dragged on. So we definitely need to get back in that win column next year. And I hope so for you because you got to stand out there and watching it in person. So my last question to you, Lincoln Kennedy, is it was reported that there was a locker room situation this year. You can buy into the specifics that have been reported or not, but I think it's clear that this locker room was a mess to one degree or another. It doesn't matter who you want to put the blame on. I'm not going to ask you to tell us who it was or who it wasn't. But you were in Oakland when Joe Bugle was there in 1997. This team went 4-12 under Bugle. There's reports that back then the locker room situation was poor too. There was, and
we were,
yeah,
we were.
Frustrated players, vets throwing their hands up, new guys not knowing where the hell they were, not sure what the direction of this team was. Enter John Gruden. John came in, got us back to be respectable 8-8, as Tom Cable would say. We were not losers anymore, and the rest is history. It was trending upwards from that point on. John Gruden now enters a similar situation in 2018. What are some of the things that you saw John do back in 1998, and what are some of the things that you think maybe transfer over, or how does he get this locker room back under control?
One of the first things John Gruden did when he came into the program is he had a team meeting, and he asked us veterans at the time to buy into his philosophy and trust him for what he was saying and what he was trying to deliver. I remember the first time I met John Gruden. I was walking in the facility. He was down at the end of the hall. He called me out, and he brought me close to him. And when I came close to him, he grabbed my hand, and he shook it as hard as he possibly could. and grabbed me in close. Now, John Gruden's half my size. So you can imagine, as a grown man, I'm looking down at this dude. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you trying to manhandle me? It is what it is. But the fact is that John Gruden, he brought me in close. He said, look, big fella, he said, I need you. He said, I need you to believe in me, and I need you to help me with this locker room. That's what John Gruden needs today, guys. He needs to find some guys in that locker room who believe in his philosophy, who believe in him, who he can pull in and grab and say, I need your help in that locker room to translate his message. If he translates his message in that locker room, he'll have more guys buy in. Because when all is said and done, guys, all players want to do is win.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care who says it. We just want to win. We don't care what offensive or defensive philosophy you have. We just want to win. The reason why Belichick is so successful in New England is because he told every one of his guys, it's my way or a highway. And Robert Kraft, the ownership, backed him. They didn't care who it was. Randy Moss, Richard Seymour, whoever it was, they didn't care. But if a guy got out of line, they cut him, and they still won. So guys sitting in that locker room putting on those uniforms like, dude, all we do is win. All we do is win championships and go to and play for championships. So why can't we buy into that program? That's exactly what John Gruden needs. That's exactly what everybody in the league is trying to recreate in some capacity or the other. And I think the only thing that's really lacking of this team, this Oakland Raider team, is somebody in that locker room who's going to get in guys' face when you have first place versus on the division on the line in Kansas City. When you have a playoff spot, whether or not you beat the Los Angeles Chargers. When a fight breaks out against the Denver Broncos, and now you need to rally the troops so you can beat the snot out of this team. After they bring in they're an old quarterback, and he seems to be leading. Somebody get the motivation out of these guys. That's what this team lacks, and that's what John Gruden is going to have to recreate in order for this team to be successful.
So let's leave it at this. I know you're in touch with players. I know you see the locker room. Is there a guy on this roster right now that could be the leader that you're talking about?
I haven't seen it, guys. I got to see it.
Yeah.
I got to see it. I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Khalil Mack is trying to be that guy, but he's very quiet. So is Amari Cooper. Derek Carr these are guys that lead by example, and I appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. A leader, in my philosophy, a leader is made, it's not born. So whatever it is, somebody's got to bring it out of themselves. But I have yet to see a guy in that locker room that doesn't matter whether on offense, defense, special teams, that will go to somebody else and say, you need to pick this up. We need to pick this up. Let's do it. Follow me. I haven't seen that yet. So I don't know who that guy is.
Well, like you said, they're made, not born, and my hope is that John Gruden can make several leaders out of this squad, just like he did with you and your boys back in 1998 through 2002. And we look up to you as a leader of Raider Nation, Lincoln Kennedy. We have a lot of respect for you on and off the field. You've just been, like you said, you keep it real, and that's all Raider Nation needs.
Yep.
Well, I will tell you this, guys. I appreciate you guys and what you guys do. My feeling is this. I don't necessarily view myself as a leader, as more of an ambassador. My ambassadorship comes from the people to the team, to the coaching staff, to the organization, to the media, everything else. I conduct myself as a conduit in order to make this place, this organization, this philosophy that is Raider life better. So I appreciate people like you. I appreciate the people of the Raider Nation. I appreciate the coaching staff, the players, and everybody else for instilling the trust in me. I'm just a guy. So please call me Lincoln and keep it real, just as I'm going to keep it real with you.
On that note, I want to thank you very much, Lincoln.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it, man. It's all good, baby.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you again soon, and hopefully we're in the win column when we do so.
Sounds like a plan, my man. You guys be good. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good
Raider
evening.
Nation for life.
Yeah, there it is.
Excited.
All right, man. Well, that was real.
That was real, man. As real as it gets.
I want to really quick just send my apologies out to Raider Kane, who co-produced this segment. As I said at the start of the show, he was supposed to be on with us, and technical difficulties. I did not know I could not merge these calls, and that's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with the backup machine right now, and that's on me. So we got another big interview next week. I'm not going to say who it is yet. I don't want to jinx it, but we'll get this ironed out next week so my man can get on there and answer his questions on his own like he should. I'm frustrated. I know he's got to be frustrated, but we're going to bring him on in the next segment here, and I'll offer him a formal apology. And, I know he understands. He was real courteous and understanding what's going on here. But thank you, Raider Kane, for making this happen.
Yeah, man.
And for the incredible questions. And we'll make sure that that next week this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I'm learning as we go too, fellas.
We're still rookies, man. We're still young bucks at this game.
Yeah. Yeah, one of us got to be a leader. Damn it. So man, that was pretty cool.
That was awesome, man.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys learned a thing or two from Lincoln Kennedy. I know I did. Always do. I'm kind of tingling over here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bask in the afterglow and enjoy that. It's always nice to talk to a former Raider player, former Raider great, and a sideline analyst, a guy that really just knows what he's talking about. Former player or not, Lincoln keeps it real, and he knows what he's talking about.
Yes, he does.
He's
man.
a smart man. So I'm looking forward to him suiting up this year.
Right?
Yeah.
I think I got him. I think I might have got the itch in him, man. He might be saying, "Hey, maybe I got something. Maybe I do got something."
Hopefully you get a agent fee or something out of that when it happens, bro.
I'll take it.
So we're gonna get on out of here. That's the first half of the show. We're gonna go to break. We're gonna hear a couple of your calls. We're gonna come back, respond to them, and we're gonna talk to Raider Kane and finish off the rest of this podcast. What say you?
I say that's a good idea, man.
All right, we out here.
Peace.
Kenny, happy Thursday, bro. Che, how are you, bro? 303 Raider. Yeah, man, I'll tell you what right now. I don't know what's more disappointing, that either Jack let things get out of hand, or between Khalil Mack and Derek Carr, we don't have somebody who can come on in there and command the locker room. I mean, at some point we got to stop making excuses for these players and hold them accountable. I mean, our QB, and I love him to death. I wear his jersey. I have 4's jersey. I have 52's jersey. I love these guys, but man, someone needs to come on in, step up, demand accountability, and unite everyone. That's what leaders do, is unite. Not make excuses, not point fingers, not blame everyone. And obviously Marshawn didn't help. I don't think Kraft's helped. So Gruden's going to come in there and clean things up. He's going to get everyone in shape, or he's going to get them out. So we're going to see a completely different, united team. We were not united. We saw that in the Washington game. It just tore the team apart. So I blame the coaches and I blame the players. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful night. This is 303 Raider, and I'm out.
Hey, good morning, Raiders. This is Podunk Raider here at PJFF on the blog. I want to do my best to squash something. I've seen a lot of comments lately about Derek Carr being some kind of issue in the locker room or being a divisive force among his teammates, and I'm just not buying that. Derek Carr is very popular around the league, and he's got a lot of friends, and a lot of his teammates openly support him, not only as a player but as a person. So, I don't believe all the stuff that's going around about, his faith being some kind of issue with everybody else. I think, his faith is a personal, choice and decision, like it is for everybody. And, just like anybody else in the workplace, if somebody asks me, what I believe, or if I want to talk to him about it, that's all good. But in no way is, talking about it meaning, that we can't get along or we can't do our jobs. We believe differently. So I'm just not buying all of that. And I'm especially not buying that Gruden would have a problem with Carr because of it, or that we should get rid of Carr because of it. I think that stuff, that talk is just ridiculous. Here Carr is, 26 years old, going to his third straight Pro Bowl, and that puts him, as far as Raider quarterbacks are concerned, in elite category. I know he's got a lot, to prove and a long ways to go before he can take us to a Super Bowl win. But I think he's on the right track, especially now with Gruden. So, got 2 words for the haters: kick rocks.
And we're back. Tremendous interview with Mr. Kennedy, with Lincoln. He hates
Lincoln. Yeah,
he
stop
does,
calling him Mr. Kennedy, man. You can get him mad.
That's for old folks.
That's for old folks.
And like you said, he's still got a series left in him, so we ain't gonna move him in that category just yet.
There you go.
So yeah, we're gonna bring Raider Kane on here. Kane's Corner, sponsored by NFLShop.com. We are going to forego the intro music this week and just get right into it. So, Raider Kane, welcome to the show.
What's up, you guys? How's everybody doing this week?
Doing real good.
Feeling real good, man.
Just when I thought that the Raiders news was going to die down, we get a whole bunch of juicy news this week. Started off with Derek Carr's interview with Vic Tafur. Derek Carr called Tafur himself, and they sat down. They had a nice, lengthy interview, and we talked about some of the takeaways of that in the first segment. But I want to focus on a couple things that's going to help us segue to the next story. So first off, Derek Carr said in this interview, Vic congratulated him on getting into the Pro Bowl and acknowledged that this year did not go his way as he had probably imagined. And Derek Carr responded saying that there was stuff that happened, and there are things that won't be said, that people aren't going to talk about. But it was a difficult season, and then he went into his back injury. And he did say that he never fully healed. The back continued to bother him all season, and he rushed himself back, and the coaching staff rushed him back. He alluded to both things. He put it on himself, but he also said the staff at no point, told him to just rest it out and get ready. It seemed like, from what he said, that they were really urging him to get back. And then the Raiders Daily story broke this week by Stephen Michaels, and I read it. I know you read it. Shay read it, and we're 3 of the people that read it and really bought into it. We really feel like what was said there, whether it was embellished or not, there are pearls of truth in that interview. And he talks about the back injury in the interview and how no time was spent in the offseason with E.J. Manuel and Connor Cook. And that sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, but I think what we can tease out of that is not enough time was spent with Manuel and Cook. He said that Manuel was basically handcuffed going into that Ravens game. He was given 15 plays and told not to push the ball downfield, which, of course, he did on a touchdown to Crabtree. So shout out to you, Manuel, for doing your thing.
Breaking the rules
the Raider way. So let's get into that piece a little bit. Let's kind of go through that. What was your gut reaction after you read that piece, Kane?
My gut reaction was I believed it was true. My gut reaction was no wonder the season was so screwed up, man. Look at the dysfunction that was going on. So when I first read it, I was like, wow, no wonder. You know what I mean? And I believed every last drop of it. I don't think any of it was embellished. I think it just got crazy. I mean, looking at what they said and how the team responded to Jack and him being a Trump follower, supporter, and then you got the we don't want to stand for the national anthem in week 3, and you couple that with Derek Carr's back injury and Todd Downing being a new up. All of that makes well and good sense to me. I believe it, and I'm glad Mark stepped in and put a stop to it like that. He didn't let Jack last another year. This coaching staff is gone. We got John Gruden, and here we are today.
And talking about Jack Del Rio and his political leanings, I went to Twitter and I went on Jack Del Rio's Twitter, And I looked at his likes because you can filter by likes, right? You can go through everything that they liked. And I scrolled all the way down to September, October. And he's on there. He's liking posts by Mike Pence and, support the troops. And I mean, the troop thing, that's not a political thing. You could be liberal, diehard liberal, and support the troops. And you should.
Right.
But it really does sort of lend some credibility to Michael's article. I know a lot of you guys out there listening maybe think it's a crock. But I don't know what explanation you want. I saw some really outlandish theories floating around there during the regular season that some of y'all bought into.
Right.
And to see you not buy into this article is crazy to me. I think, even if you don't want to believe all of it, there is some explanations in there that you really should pay attention to. And myself personally, I don't think that politics have a place in football. I think everybody's entitled to their own belief, but don't bring that into the locker room. If you're given a Twitter account as a football coach, understand that you are on a stage of the NFL and everybody's watching you, and you should probably keep that to yourself.
Right.
I work in the public sector, and I work with kids, and I work with government officials and local politics, and I have 2 Facebook accounts. And one of them is private, and the other one I use for work.
Right.
Because I don't need people that I work with looking into what I believe in.
Right.
Because, I don't think there's anything wild there, but there's definitely a chance someone's going to disagree with me. And that creates friction. And I don't need friction at my job. And Jack Del Rio, you didn't need friction in your job either.
Nope.
Because it showed the season before, when all of that stuff was away from the facility, that you had what it took to fire this team up. And maybe you're a good coach when you're winning, and maybe you're a bad coach when you're losing. Because before all these politics jumped off, you had similar problems in Jacksonville too. So
it's true.
It goes beyond that. Now, there was some blame that was placed on Derek Carr in that article. I have my feelings about it. I think that he definitely should shoulder blame. He shouldered all the blame in his press conferences. How do you feel about Derek Carr going forward? We just got off the phone with Lincoln, and he said he doesn't see the leader in this locker room, but he also believes that leaders are made. They're not born. They're built up. And so, Derek Carr has the potential to be a leader. He is the quarterback of this team. And if you look around the league, that's the guy. That's the glue on every team. That's the guy that brings people together. How do you feel about the accusations that were made about Carr in this article? Where are you at with that? And how do you feel about Carr moving forward as the potential leader of this football team? What has he got to do?
Well, if you're going to say something is embellished or a little bit too much, too many sandwiches brought to the picnic, I guess you would say that the Bible apping part, I mean, okay, that's a little extreme. If you have practice and you reading the Bible, or where do you have time for that? Even if you're injured.
Right.
Where does the coordinator have? I mean, this was mentioned with Jack Del Rio, Mari Cooper, and Todd Downing, all Bible apping. Like, you guys are important, intricate parts of the team, and you're not watching practice because you're injured. I'm assuming because Amari Cooper was hurt a lot too, so I'm assuming they were injured and weren't practicing. But still, I mean, that's hard to believe. But if you're not going to believe something, I guess that would be one of the things that you wouldn't believe. But as far as him saying his back was still screwed up, and that he was rushed back, I believe all that. And I think that that was probably him trying to be somewhat of a leader. And it just didn't work out that way for whatever reason, maybe because the offense was tailored. He was, like you and I talked earlier today, Kenny, like he didn't have any I'm at a loss of words here. He wasn't positive about the play calling.
Right.
So you go up to snap the ball and you don't trust it.
Yeah, confidence.
So, some of that, like you said, could be a little embellished, and I'm gonna say that the Bible part, but as far as all the rest of the stuff, I think it's spot on, man. I mean, just looking at the game, looking at the plays, looking at how the team played, I gotta say 80% of that shit is true.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Che? I mean, again, some blame was lumped on Carr in this article. Do you put blame on Carr?
I think you got to put blame on Carr, man. He's the leader of a team. He's the guy that we look to as the leader of our team. So there has to be some blame. How much of it you want to give him? I guess that's your own personal opinion or your own personal view. But I look at him. He's the guy that we expect to be the leader, the guy that gets after people. Much like a Gannon would or whatever. And he's not doing that. We don't see enough of that. So we got to put a big chunk of that blame on him. Obviously, we had other issues going on, so there's some blame there too. We had a coaching staff that was not holding their own, so there's some blame there too. But I would put a large portion on him because we need more from him as a leader.
Yeah, we definitely do. And in the NFL, I've said this on Twitter. I said this to Napoleon Kaufman about a month ago. When Jack Del Rio got fired, Kaufman felt bad for Jack, and I do too. As a person, as a human being, I feel bad for Jack. He came in here; he's a local guy, Raiders fan, dream job, and fell flat on his face.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's all the personal stuff that comes with that. When you get fired, you're out of work, blah blah blah. I don't feel too bad in that regard because he's still getting paid. He doesn't have to work this year.
I felt a little bit bad, not that bad.
He's
still getting paid more than me, man.
But like Lincoln says, like everyone says, this is a business. But what I said to Napoleon Kaufman, I don't know if you read my comment. I know that guy gets mentioned all the time on Twitter. His notifications are blowing up. I log in, I got like a 5. It's a different story for me. But what I told him was, did Jack take a bullet for a lot of other problems on this team? Yes, but that's the key. A lot of other problems on this team. You have problems on the line. You have problems with your quarterback. You have problems on the defense. You have problems all the way around in the locker room with your coordinators. And when you have that many problems on a team, the blame has to land somewhere. And that place in the NFL is on the shoulders of the head coach. And that's what happened. So you fell on the sword, Jack Del Rio, but you were holding it to begin with, and you didn't do shit with it.
Right. Swing that shit.
Man, hey, you know what? And I just want to add to that. Jack Del Rio could have just been looking like a good coach. Let me explain something to you. Remember last year when he got the extension?
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I think that's too early. I said, I think we was living off Derek Carr's Wonder Kid fourth quarter comebacks last year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I said, I think we should wait another year with a harder schedule. I'm not going to repeat. You know what I said.
Yeah.
And so, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think Jack Del Rio was ever really that good. Like, I'm not saying, okay, thank you, Jack. You gave us confidence. You took us out of the darkness and brought us into the light. Yes, you did. But that was about as far as you were going to take us. Last year was Derek Carr. This year was Derek Carr. We're 6-10 because of Derek Carr. We're 12-4 because of Derek Carr. None of this was Jack Del Rio. Your defense sucked all 3 years you was here.
Yeah.
None of this was you.
Yeah.
So you didn't deserve your extension, and you probably should have been reevaluated at the end of last year instead of getting an extension because of the defense. Because when you hired Ken Norton Jr., you said, this is my protege, and I'm going to work with him to help him grow as a play caller and defensive coordinator. But he was the first person you fired when your defense didn't work. So, you know what I'm saying? This was never about Jack Del Rio. We just likened it to be about Jack Del Rio. What it was about was our quarterback and his play. That's what it's always been about. And it was a testament to that this year. That's why when you say, let's go to Twitter. And they say, sum up the Raiders' year. What gift do you see? You see the gift of Derek Carr getting pushed out of bounds, flying through the air in the Dallas game trying to score a touchdown. That's the sum of our season. You don't see a picture of Jack Del Rio standing on the sideline with his arms folded, do you?
No.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always been about the players on the field. And that's why I'm been so hard about the players. And I'm hard on the coach, too, because he's a part of it. But they don't go out on the field and play.
Right.
You execute what's put in front of you. Okay, so we know Todd Downing sucked. But talking about Jack Del Rio as a coach, this was never about him. If it was, we would have had the number one, number two. We'd be in the top 5 in defense right now. If it was about Jack Del Rio, and our quarterback play and offense would be struggling. So, with that being said, and I hate saying that, but there's no better way to end this thing than to just say Jack Del Rio. This has always been about quarterback play. We got John Gruden, so let's see what he can do for Derek. This team, just like when Rich Gannon was the quarterback of this team, and I used to say, we go as Rich Gannon goes, the same thing for this team. This team goes as so Derek Carr. Until they build a defense, and our defense is surrounded Khalil Mack with players that make plays, and we're at number 1, number 2 like Jacksonville. This is an offensive football team, and as so Derek, so go we. There you go.
And, during the break, you guys heard a couple calls from 303 and Podunk Raider, and they kind of they're kind of getting at where I stand on all of this. Podunk, he's basically asking people to get off Carr's back, to leave his religious beliefs aside, that they don't play into this as much as you might think, and he's entitled to those beliefs. And 303 basically, he took people to task. He said somebody has to emerge a leader on this team. He doesn't care who it is, whether it's Matt Carr or somebody that's maybe not even on this roster yet. Someone's got to step forward and be a leader on this team. And here's what I got to say, and Kane and we talked about this. Kane, you were on the blog talking about this, and I think between your side of the argument and my side of the argument, we kind of arrived at a place that made sense for both of us. I think the truth, oftentimes in these arguments and these debates, is in the middle. It takes one extreme and another extreme to kind of come together
exactly
and balance the whole thing out. And this is what I have to say to kind of put a bow on all of this. Back after that Washington game, a lot of people, that story came out. Was it Raider Bounty and Miko Grimes? You should just be baking titty cakes. That's okay.
The titty cakes.
No offense. No offense. Shout out to all my strong females out there, but Grimes, you're just running your mouth. You need to be baking titty cakes. Here's what I got to say. The theory back then was that the offensive line turned on Derek Carr. We all know that's a bunch of bullshit. And if you don't think that is, and you're still buying into that story right now, I don't know what to say. But I'm about to revoke your Raider card because I don't see things changing from last year to next year if that's the case. We know that's not the case.
Right.
We've had those offensive linemen come out and shut those stories down. Are they going to come out and validate those stories? No. But if they weren't true, it would have been all quiet on the Oakland front. And,
right.
It wasn't. And you got a guy named Donald Penn who's going to speak his mind. I don't know nobody on that team that speaks the truth more than Donald Penn. So here's where I stand on this. Should Carr have been more of a fiery leader during this time? Yes, I believe he should have been. But here's the other side of that. You bring in a guy like Navarro Bowman to bring a spark to this defense and to become a veteran leader. And 3 weeks into it, he said himself that he threw his hands up. That's how much of a mess this locker room was. Mm-hmm. The coaching staff, Derek Carr said after the Washington game, tried running different things. The coaching staff themselves didn't have faith in their own system.
Right.
So if you're Derek Carr and you're standing there, you don't trust your offensive line. Here's what I make about that. Mm-hmm. It's not a personal trust. That is a all-around global trust issue. It's not personal because of this reason. You're Derek Carr. You're taking the field. The play comes into your headset, and you're thinking, this ain't going to work.
Right.
This play's a bunch of bullshit.
Right.
Here we go again. Your offensive line hears the call, and they know what's coming.
And your offensive line, what they're going to think about it, too.
You know what they're going to think about it. You already know by the time you got off the bus, nobody's focused. People have already thrown
there has to be an audible. There has to be a audible or something that Carr should have been able to. Okay, you know what? Let's scrap that play. Let's do this.
All right, let me finish my thought. Let me finish my thought.
Leaders do that.
Audibles or not, your team has already thrown their hands up. The focus is gone. It's not going to be regained on 3rd and 14 or 3rd and 7. You're not going to make it happen at that time. It was far gone. The situation was already FUBAR. It went sideways a long time ago. So you got players in front of you that are unfocused. They're not buying into the scheme. You're not buying into the scheme, but you're the guy holding the ball.
Right.
And you got NFL defensive players that are pinning their ears back because they know what's coming, because they know your scheme's a bunch of bullshit too.
Right.
You know, you got secondary that's running the wide receiver spots before your receivers can even get there. It's all sideways at that point. So I don't care if you're Brett Favre or you're Aaron Rodgers or you're Tom Brady or you're Drew Brees. If teams are pinning their ears back like that, and you know the guys in front of you have already bought out, and they don't know what's going, and everybody's out of rhythm, and the entire show is out of sync, you're going to play scared.
Right.
And here's what I got to say about those other top-level elite quarterbacks. Lucky for them, none of them have had to endure a shit show like this at any time in their career.
Right.
And yes, part of that is because of their leadership. They're able to hold that locker room together. Derek Carr's not there yet.
Right.
Well, Pittsburgh ain't perfect, but yeah, you're right. But Pittsburgh ain't perfect.
And so that's where I come to your side of the argument, Kane, because no, Carr was not the leader we needed this season. And he's fired up the season before. He's excited. Everybody's going to rally around anybody when you're winning football games.
Yeah.
But in this situation, like I said, the whole thing was FUBAR. And so can we blame Carr? We can blame Carr, but we can blame a lot of people. So I'm not going to put it all on him. He's young. He still has the potential for leadership. Guys look up to him.
He still has the potential for growth.
He still has that potential. So he's not the guy we need him to be yet.
Right.
Can we blame him for a lot of the issues last season? Yes. But I also feel like the situation was so screwed up, one guy wasn't going to fix the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and it went sideways fast.
Can we agree that 12-4 was Derek Carr? Let me just.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
I agree with
Absolutely.
you. I agree with you, Kenny, but I just got to make one quick point. Can we agree that Derek Carr was 12-4?
Yes.
Okay. Why can't we agree that Derek Carr was 6-10?
Well, we can agree on that for
Let
sure.
me further that. Let me further that. Okay, the defense was bad. The defense was bad, but the offense didn't score no more than 17 points in 10 games.
Yeah.
So what defense in the NFL can hold another team offense to under 17 points? But ours, basically,
Right.
obviously. Right. So okay. With that being said, 6-10. If 12-4 was Derek Carr because of the fourth quarter comebacks, then 6-10 because we only scored 17 points in 10 games, and the other 6 games we won, we scored 20 or more points. So, like I said, you got to kind of I know we don't want to blame Derek Carr, but I like Derek Carr, and I like that he's our quarterback.
Yeah.
But I got to keep it real, bro, and I don't, like I said, if I'm gonna be real, then I gotta say 12-4 was Carr, not Jack Del Rio. And if I'm gonna be real when I say 6-10 is also Derek Carr and not Jack Del Rio. The defense was bad, but it wasn't so bad that we couldn't have won games with that defense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, the Oakland Raiders, the Oakland Raiders beat themselves 10 times this year.
No, yeah.
That's the way I look at it. And a lot of that is on Derek Carr, but you also have to look at the fact that Bill Musgrave wasn't there. Greg Olson wasn't there, what you want, but he had a good relationship with Olson too, and he was able to teach Carr fundamentals. That went out the window this season. So, it's a combination. What I'm saying is it's a combination of everything. The final stop is Derek Carr. Absolutely. But was he going to rewrite this offense at the line of scrimmage? No, he wasn't.
But a leader does that, though, bro.
A leader does that.
Comes to the line of scrimmage. Rich Gannon many times has said, John called a play in the huddle, and I said, I'm calling this.
Right.
At the line.
Remember, too, Gannon was an 8-year-something veteran at that point. So hopefully we can get Carr to that level. We saw him in college. He called all the plays at the line of scrimmage non-verbally with his hands. So we know he has that in him. We don't know what the coaching staff did to him. They might have handcuffed him this year. They said they weren't going to. They were going to open up the playbook for him. That didn't happen. So there's a lot of blame to be shared, and that's where I'm saying that's where I meet you in the middle. That's where I come to the other side of the argument that, yes, Derek Carr can shoulder a lot of this blame, but I don't think it's a situation that can't be fixed. I don't think all hope is lost, and I think with the right leader in place in the coaching staff and a system and a playbook full of plays that he can actually work with and the confidence, man. I mean, this guy was getting called out in meetings. He was getting shot down.
Right.
I mean, they just took him down several levels this season. So, it's blame to be shared. But I think when he's propped up, when he's got the right kind of support system behind him, Derek Carr can be that person. I think he's got the potential there. He wasn't that guy this last season. And just like Raider Kane said, he can be blamed for 6-10 just as much as he can be praised for 12-4. So I think that's where we meet in the middle. And I think that's the truth.
Yeah. No. And you know what? At the end of the day, man, you can't expect anybody to perform above and beyond if there's no stability in the entire organization as a whole. So it like you said, yes, we can blame Carr, and I'm not in disagreement with that, but stability needs to start from the top, and that's from the owner to the coaches to all the other staff, and that trickles down. Yes, Carr is our leader on the field, but what are our leaders off the field doing?
Yeah. And so, right now that engine ain't turning over. This car needs a jump start. Let's get off this topic really quick, boys.
Yeah.
Who's going to watch the Super Bowl this year?
Fuck. Shit, son.
I mean, I might flip through it a little bit, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna do too much of it, man.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Y'all going to any Super Bowl parties?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be at a party.
The only people that I know that throw parties are Raider fans, so hell no.
Yeah, apparently that ain't going down. I might kick it with 666, see what he's doing. I may not. I might just watch it at home, kind of casual, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Six has invited me over too. If you go, let me know. I might fall through there.
Yeah, but I mean, here we are again. I think at this point, the only people excited about this are Eagles fans and Patriots fans. I think even outside of Raider Nation, people are just getting fed up
Hell yeah.
seeing the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Hell yeah. Man.
You know?
The other day, the pizza delivery guy came up to my door and he was pissed off that fucking Brady was back in the Super Bowl.
Shout out to the pizza delivery guy.
Yeah, shout out to you, man. And the pizza was delicious. Thank you.
Must have been a Raider fan. But yeah, man, I mean, hopefully this is the last one that we got to see him in. And I think that the front four, the Philadelphia Eagles, they can cause problems for a lot of teams. And as long as the referees don't get involved, I actually do think the Eagles have a shot in this game.
I think they got a shot.
At least make it close, guys. One of my good friends is an Eagles fan, so I mean, for obvious reasons, I'm rooting for the Eagles anyways. But for him too, I'm going to be pulling for Philadelphia and at least make it interesting. I don't want it to be a snooze fest. And if it comes down to it, last play of the game, you're on the 1 yard line. Shove a Jai up there, please.
Right.
Just run the damn ball.
Right. Hey, and another thing. Although he's not a Raider player, he is family of a Raider legend. Howie's son will be out there with Philadelphia, so we got to ride with Philadelphia, man.
There we go.
Other than the fact that we hate the Patriots.
Yeah, we riding with Philly.
It's
this
obvious.
week. We riding with Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think only Patriot fans are rooting for the Pats, man. I don't know nobody else that care about Patriot football.
I would love to see Tom Brady throw a pick six in the Super Bowl, and I think Philadelphia defense is the one defense that could probably get that done this year.
That would be nice.
And that's what I got to say about that. Kane, anything you want to say before we get up out of here, bro?
No, man, I'm getting ready to get up out of here myself, and it was always good doing the show. Everybody, the listeners, you can follow me on Twitter at KaneMT6, and I'll talk to you guys next week, bro.
All right, y'all.
All right, man.
You have a good one.
Peace.
All right, peace out.
Yeah, you hear Kane. He was firing up the car himself right there. He's getting about to dodge. So
it's cold out there, man, so I can understand him trying to get in that car real quick.
Hell yeah. He works out there in the East Bay, so, the winds be blowing about this time of night. And it's a cold evening. It's
very cold.
So, man, we kind of I responded to the callers a little bit in that segment. So, I see you.
I see you.
So this week's I See You two-parter. IR Johnny on PJ4F.com, he posted, I know it's a dead horse, but I looked up recent top 10 trades and would probably cost us next year's first rounder to get Barkley. ... Worth it. I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you, IR Johnny. And it's not because I don't think Saquon Barkley is not the real deal. I think this guy's going to produce at the NFL level.
Yeah, definitely.
Much like Leonard Fournette, we saw it coming even before this year. If you were watching this kid last year, then you knew it. Just like Fournette, the year before he came out, I was saying it. Fournette, man, if we can get that guy, he's a difference maker. He's a world breaker. And you mentioned before we came on,
and Elliott too, the year before, right?
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: is Fournette in the Super Bowl?
He's not in the Super Bowl.
Is Elliott in the Super Bowl?
He is not in the Super Bowl.
So obviously there's other reasons or other potential players that could get you there rather than a running back, right?
That's true. And the reason why I disagree with you, IR, is not really just the way I feel, but it's really just looking at this organization and their tendencies in the draft. Reggie McKenzie's not going to trade next year's first-round draft pick for anybody, in my opinion. So that's not going to happen, for one. Barkley's not going to fall to us, for two. I've seen a couple mocks where they got him falling. Surprisingly, PFF has Barkley fallen to us in the draft now. By all means, if he's there, I'm going to say go ahead and grab him. But even if he is there, I'm 50-50 whether or not this organization actually does pull the trigger on him. Now, we do have John Gruden in there, so we do have his influence on this draft pick, and I'm sure they're up there and they're talking about it right now. And maybe it's a heated argument. I don't know. I hope it is. I hope both of these guys are standing their ground, because good things come out of arguments. But I just don't see it happening, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think that's the route that we need to go, man.
No.
I think Lincoln said it best. We need to be looking defense. We need to solidify the defense. We just we're just talking with Kane, and he's talking about how our defense sucked just as bad as it did the year before and the year before that, right? And that wasn't the difference in our seasons. Well, maybe we can put together a defense that does make a difference in our seasons, and alleviate a little bit of the stress on the offense. That being said, we need the offense to get their shit together too. But I think we need to solidify the defense. Starts with a linebacker, also with the cornerback. Wherever we need to fill in those spots. I think that's the most important thing, man.
So the second part of this is, a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned before I got on the air, my mom had an accident. Wasn't sure at that time if it was a stroke or not. She had suffered one earlier in the year. A lot of you guys reached out to me. I got emails. I got hit up on the blog, direct messages on Twitter, Reddit even. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate it. I see you guys out there. I was able to respond to some of you. I wasn't able to get back to all of you, but just a quick update. Mom's doing good. It was not a stroke. She just took a fall. It looked like it might have been a dehydration issue. Nothing broken. She's a little bruised up. The Stapler clan is strong, and she's doing well. So I thank you. She thanks you. The rest of my family thanks you. We really appreciate that. But yes, she's doing well, and she's gonna make it to see a Raiders Super Bowl, hopefully.
Yeah, man.
Well, yeah. Absolutely. She's in good shape. My mom's a fighter for sure. I learned it from her. People say, Kenny, you don't sleep, man. How do you do it? I say, ask my mom, man. She taught me how to grind. She was a business owner, strong woman, and I appreciate that about her.
Hell yeah, man.
Both her and my dad worked real hard. And I continue that work ethic today, both on the air and off the air. We're out here working hard.
Working hard.
Yes, sir. So let's do some shout outs. I want a special thank you to Andrea and Phil over at the Out of Pocket Sports Network, which we are now proudly a part of. Also the host of the By Any Means podcast, another Raider podcast you should probably go check out. They had me on this week, so I was on their very last episode. Check that out. Let me know how I did.
Bringing the heat.
I brought the heat,
You were
bro.
bringing the heat, man.
I was fired up.
It was good stuff, man.
I was pounding coffee. And that was after a 13-hour workday. I worked 13 hours that day.
That's why you needed the coffee, man.
That's it. I'm on like my fourth cup right now.
I know I got 40 ounces in me, man.
Shout out to Arc Raider on PJ4F, EMS, Chris in New York, and our new member, Captain Sparrow. Shout out to all you guys on PillagingJustForFun.com. On Twitter, recent follows. Shout out Joe Raider. Thanks for the follow. Raider Nation 913. Barack Obama.
I like it, man.
Danny Rendon, who's another Raider sports writer. You can check him out. Kevin Wynn, great follow over there on Twitter. Co-Raider, Jay Faust, and Raider in England on Twitter. Raider in England, I know you're happy about the Oakland Raiders coming to your town. I'm glad you're happy because I can't be happy. And of course on PJ4F we got London Raider, and I know in the Raider Ramble crew you got UK Raider over there. So we got Raider Nations out there. You guys get a special treat this year. We get to miss another home game. So
rep us well, man.
Rep us well. Make it worth it. Make it worth it. Any shout outs you want to give this week?
Hey man, a shout out to you for that podcast, man. I enjoyed it.
Well,
as soon as I knew you were gonna be on there, I was all over it, man. I got on there and I listened to it. It's good stuff. Like I said, you brought the heat. You repped us well, man.
Yeah.
You repped us well here at the Pillaging crew, the Pillaging podcast. Other shout outs. I mean, obviously, I got the weekly shout out to my lady, doing great things, wonderful things. Shout out to my brother. I'll shout out my brother again.
There you go. There you
Steven,
go.
you know, he's a big Raider fan as well, and he's working hard all the time too. He's also my leading scorer, so I got to keep him upbeat. Make sure that he gets us some points and buckets.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, man, shout out to all my family, man. We're all Raider fans, so when I say Raider fans, I'm mostly talking about them because they're the ones that I know.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's show. Make sure you tune in every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio, or wherever your podcasts are sold. Call us and leave a message to be played on air, 408-909-PJFF. Don't forget, we do publish fan-submitted articles, so send us your best write-ups and see your work published online. Lastly, get dipped in pillaging gear. Head over to pj4f.com/shop and get yourself a fresh, crisp, Pillaging Just for Fun t-shirt, coffee mug, what have you. This has been an Out of Pocket Sports Network production.
Ooh.
I'm Kenny Stapler, joined as always
By your boy Che.
and we out here.
Peace.
Go Raiders.
Touchdown!